and there should be no recording of that. But something that has worked for me doesn't mean that it can work for everybody. Also, some profound information that somehow or other coming to me that's really open up our eyes that how much this scientific world is driving us crazy. So if you have a time and if you so desire, you can continue after 6:55 where we will discuss. And I think one thing for sure that we should do whatever is necessary to keep our body healthy. Because if our body is healthy, our mind will be healthy and we will be able to remain steadfast. So it's essential. So I will read the last paragraph that we read yesterday to bring up to this speed. We will be reading from Srimanaha Shiksha, Splendid Instructions to the Mind by Raghunath Das Goswami. Currently we are reading on the verse number 7. The obstacle is pratishta, recognition and honor. Commentary by commentary by Shivram Swami Maharaj. We will finish today, and then we will, from tomorrow, I guess, we will read from Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Of all the different kind of worship, worship of the Supreme Lord Vishnu is the highest. But even greater than this is the worship of his pure devotees. That Tvadiya, that is even better. Then from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:7-19, Yat Sevaya Bhagavataha Kutastasya Madhudvisa Rati Ras Bhavet Tibra Padayor Vyasanardanaha. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchangeable, enemy of the Madhu demon, and whose service one quest one's material distress. And we will be reading tomorrow about the Madhu demon in Madhuvan. In this connection, Rupa Goswami makes a very important point. In the conclusion of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where he says, quote, all the different aspects of devotional service which are stated in Nectar of Devotion all pertain to Krishna. In other words, he is explained how to make advancement by one way or another in relationship to the Lord. Then he also says all the different aspects of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which have been discussed in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, also relate to serving the Vaishnavas. In other words, whatever is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in relationship to Krishna, you can do the exact same thing in relations to Vaishnava. Further, he continues, this is the opinion of the Pandits. To conclude our commentary on this verse, Sri Ram Maharaj says that here is the quote from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-241, which Bhakti Vinod quote at the end of his commentary to verse 7, describing a pure devotee. So this is, we have to dwell on it to remember it. We have to impregnate in our heart who are the real Vaishnavas. Ever since that person whose body was washed by tears flowing from his eyes, whose body was decorated with multitudes of hair standing on end due to ecstasy, faltering as he walked, who was experiencing ecstasy within himself, who exhibited symptoms such as great shivering of the body, etc., has entered the path of my vision. I do not know what has happened. My mind simply refuses to take interest anymore in household affairs. This is the nature of the real Vaishnavas. So we will continue the commentary on verse 7 by Sachinandan Swami Maharaj tomorrow. Or maybe we should draw a little bit. Let's see. Let's read a little bit. Commentary by Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. We find it so difficult to renounce the desire for distinction. Never touch this tool-like desire if you want to develop love for Krishna. It may seem strange that this desire for name, fame, and glory is the root of all the problems. We may feel that some self-esteem needs to be there. Otherwise, we may feel depressed and insecure, and the world will trample on us. But this self-centered desire is a big problem. From the desire, quote, I must be glorified and not Krishna, arises envy, an aggressive mentality, and an inclination to criticize others. The moment we don't surrender to Krishna, having a my way style of thought, we will become envious of others. We will be violent, aggressive, and we will criticize. So many anarthas comes from this. Raghunath Das Goswami uses the example of an outcast woman who lives by selling her body and devours dog meat. This woman is shamelessly dancing in our hearts. The desire for fame supersedes all other desires. People can be manipulated even out of their money if you flatter them for fame. If this desire for fame is allowed to stay in our hearts, she will not stay alone. She will invite envy. The desire for fame will always be united with envy, and they will mate and produce children of aggressiveness and criticism. When they dance in our hearts, they will start a dance of destructions and destroy all our Vaishnava qualities. We need to be vigilant and alert to quickly recognize this weed of pratishtha. If we allow this to stay on, all our chanting and hearing will not show our spiritual advancement. What a strong statement. But it will only help to grow Pratishtha and her family. We do not perform our bhakti for the recognitions of others. It is not that we should be recognized, but that Krishna is recognized. Pratishta is like poison. If we swallow it, it will poison us. If fame comes to us, be aware that it is by the mercy of our Guru Maharaj. What is the cure for this desire for fame? Raghunath Das Goswami says, Sevasva Prabhudaita Samantam. Show the leader of those who are dear to the Lord. He compares such a devotees to a powerful general. The desire for fame is strong, so we need some force to remove it, a pure devotee. Military action is requested for this. If we want this desire to be removed, we need a special squad, a real devotee whom we should serve. He will bring love into our hearts. There are two effects when we meet such devotees. Love will come into our hearts, and two, material attachments. Fear for material existence and other obstacle will get completely destroyed. Please show a pure devotee, giving your best and forgetting your own concern. Then we will feel, I'm so different, so enlivened. By this contact with a pure devotee, something wonderful happens. Find such a devotee, then associate and serve such a person. Dullness, fearfulness, and ignorance will be destroyed. The fire of devotion will dispel darkness in your heart. Great devotees are like a sacrificial fire. Darkness will go and Krishna will appear. But as long as the desire for pratishta is prominent or preeminent in the heart, cheating of others and ourselves will not be driven away. We need a transfusion of the Lord's potency, which will come through the pure devotee and empower us. We may say we have heard all about this before, but such exalted association is very rarely attained. What to do if we can find such an exalted devotee is given in verse 8 of the Manaha 6. Why is the association of exalted devotees so powerful? The Lord is finding rest only in the heart of his devotees, where he can repose and rest in peace. He cannot rest in the heart of the karmi or the yogis because they have selfish desires. But he can do so in the heart of the devotee because they want to satisfy him. Wonderful. Our Acharya is pointing out everything. Open it up. Our book of our life in front of us. So now we will continue reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, volume number 4. I think we are on chapter number 5, title, A Lot of Ground to be Covered. I'll read the last paragraph a little longer, but I think it's essential. Then we will continue. The devotees were not alone. However, as they returned to Mr. Jariwala's house, we are talking about Prabhupada visiting my hometown, Surat. Haribol. For hundreds of Indians thronged behind them, eager to see Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, his disciple, and a clamoring crowd of Surat devotees squeezed tightly into Prabhupada's room. The guests, those who got it inquired about ISKCON and its activities, while those outside pushed to get inside. The crowd around the house grew so great that traffic couldn't pass. While Prabhupada continued to answer questions inside, the crowd outside grew larger and more restless. By their good fortune, they had realized Prabhupada's greatness, their eagerness more intense. Prabhupada got up from his seat and walked out to the balcony. The crowd roared, Hare Krishna, their arms upraised. That's where we left. So we continue. When Prabhupada returned inside, the crowd remained unsatisfied, and he asked some of his disciples to try and pacify them. Several devotees went out to the people, answering their questions and telling them that Prabhupada would come out to see them again. Bhagubai Jariwala had come in touch with Prabhupada's movement several years before in San Francisco, when we had donated a silver murti of Krishna to the San Francisco temple. You know, I will show you the silver Krishna deity that Raman Krishna Prabhu has donated me. I have to, I think, sign up a little bit nicely. Oh, nice gift, devotee gives. Hare Krishna. Now, the Jariwala family, to accommodate their guest, had moved into modest quarters on the roof of their home and offered the rest of the house to Prabhupada and his disciple. Haribol. Hospitable host, they made the devotee feel welcome to stay forever. At lunch and again in the evening, Prabhupada would take prasadam with the devotees and guests. The devotees sitting in the row on the floor and Prabhupada sitting at the head in a chair at a table. Mr. Jariwala and his family would serve everyone. Often respectable citizens would also attend the lecture and lunches. Mr. Chandra Desai, the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Mr. Vaikuntha Sastri, Surat's mayor, and the State Education Minister and others attended. The son of Vaikuntha Sastri was studying with me. Haribol. The prasadam was the finest Gujarati cooking, and when a dish was particularly to Prabhupada's liking, he would ask one of his woman disciples to learn from Mrs. Jariwala how to cook it. Honoring prasadam twice a day with Prabhupada was another intimacy the devotees shared with their spiritual master in India. Had they been with him in any other part of the world, such intimacy would probably have been impossible. I remember Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he also used to say that I must be in a Gujarati body in the previous life because he liked Gujarati dishes. Beginning at 4:30 a.m., Prabhupada would hold kirtan and arti before Radha and Krishna and lecture from Srimad Bhagavatam. His room would be filled with guests, including the member of the Jariwala family. Although at outside engagement, Prabhupada usually spoke Hindi, in this morning meeting, he always spoke English for his disciples. He continued lecturing on Ajamil, focusing on Ajamil's degradations due to bad association and his deliverance by chanting of the holy name. To Srila Prabhupada's disciple, who were all aspiring to chant Hare Krishna purely and go back to Godhead. These topics were urgently relevant and he was speaking of them. Quote, anyone who uttered the name of Krishna is immediately freed from all sinful activity. That is the power of Krishna's name. The difficulty is that after being freed, we again commit mistakes. Krishna's name has got the power. As soon as you utter the name, you immediately become freed from all contaminations. But if he thinks, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, so even if I commit sinful activity, it will be counteracted by my chanting. That is the greatest offense. Just like sometime in Christian churches, they go on Sundays and confess, and they are supposed to be excused from sinful reaction. But again, after coming back from the church, they commit the same sin with the expectation that next week when I go to the church, I shall confess and it will be counteracted. This kind of understanding is prohibited. If you accept spiritual life and at the same time go on committing sinful activities, then you will never be able to progress. Hare Krishna, unquote. Prabhupada's outdoor evening engagement were well attended. The city official made one of Surat's main intersections a festival site, rerouted all traffic, and set up a stage and sound system. Thousands would gather nightly. The crowd was sometimes so large and excited that Prabhupada would have difficulty speaking about the noise. So he would hold a kirtan. In the quiet that followed, he would have one or two of his disciples speak. Then he would speak. If the audience again become noisy, he would again say, all right, let us have kirtan. Or sometimes he would simply sit and distribute bites of crystallized sugar candy to the thousands who approach him to touch his lotus feet and take a piece of prasadam. So Giriraj Maharaj is explaining this scene in Maharaj's own words. Hari Bol. All the area around this block was completely packed with people. They were all mad after Srila Prabhupada and Krishna consciousness. Although a very big area, still people were occupying every space available, perching on rooftops, looking out windows, sitting on odd cement boulders or blocks scattered here and there. Everything about Prabhupada's program was completely satisfying to everyone. The old people liked it because there was the saintly figure of Srila Prabhupada with his young foreign disciples. And the intellectuals liked it because Srila Prabhupada was giving such sound philosophy. And the children liked it because they could run and dance and join in the kirtan. Madhuri Dasi, Hare Krishna. This is wife of my spiritual master, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. At one program, she is describing, at one program, they mobbed us so we couldn't even get out of the cars. They were so eager to see Srila Prabhupada. There were so many people. Prabhupada says, quote, all right, the next night would be a night for ladies only. So the next night, only ladies came, but still it was just as packed, and Prabhupada gave a wonderful lecture. Bruce is described in his word as follows. One program was so noisy that no one stopped talking. So Prabhupada just started chanting the Brahma Samhita. That was the whole program. He just chanted the Brahma Samhita. Then he gave up and went out. Chidanand is expressing in his word as follows. Before going out to attend these programs, Prabhupada looked like a general getting ready to go out for battle. He would come out of his room, beautifully dressed and effulgent, ready to go out and fight Maya. There were thousands and thousands of people waiting. I didn't know what to make of it. I couldn't handle so many people. But Prabhupada was waging war on Maya. He was there to convince all these people. And the more people would come, the stronger he would get. Prabhupada preached in the outlying villages also. Haribol. He would ride in a car with Mr. Jarivana, several disciples, and his Radha Krishna's deities to Bardoli or Neol. They have misspelled it. I think they put Meol, but actually it's Neol. Haribol. So my sister's sons, I spent a lot of time in Bardoli. So Prabhupada has visited Bardoli. Haribol. I didn't know. The village dwelling were made of baked mud with straw roof and cow dung walls and floors. For Prabhupada visit the villages do rice flower design on the ground outside their houses and line their lanes with clay pots, plantain leaves and coconut. Mr. Andy Patel, he described in his word this scene as follows. The people in my village were much impressed by the presence of Prabhupada. They used to say that he has done miracle by chanting. He is a miracle saint, no doubt. People were saying, so many Western people have become devotees just by chanting the name of the Lord. The people were very much impressed by Prabhupada's practical way of bhakti. In his lecture, Srila Prabhupada created such a good impressions, not only on Vaishnavas, but so many Christians, Parsis. Even some Mohammedan friends started believing in Lord Krishna as the universal Godhead. With regard to all the saints, nobody has been able to spread this philosophy like this in the past. In our village, we are already Vaishnavas, of course, but we used to believe in Suryaji, Durga, Thakurji, and all these things. But after Prabhupada's explanation of what is Gita, what is Lord Krishna, we are chanting now, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. After Prabhupada conducted his discourses here in the village, the people were so impressed that even in his absence, they chant the Mahamantra loudly and they greet people with the crowd, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. At the time of departure, the people wished every devotee and Prabhupada with the words, Hare Krishna. What is the time now? 6:50. Okay, we have some time. When there were no outside engagement, Prabhupada would sit in his room and receive visitors. To a member of parliament who came to visit, Prabhupada said that wherever he traveled, he encountered the concept of India as a beggar, backward and poverty stricken. Ambassadors from India, he said, had only reinforced that image by going to Western countries and begging, give me rice, give me money, give me alms. India, Prabhupada explained, had the greatest wealth of spiritual culture and the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada had taken this wealth to the West and gives it away freely. He was not a beggar. Yamuna Mataji is explaining in her own word as follows. During visiting hours, riding in the car, walking, standing, or sitting, Prabhupada was chanting Japa all the time in Surat. His fingers were always moving within his saffron beadbag. He was always a Vaishnava, the pure devotee of Krishna, well groomed with beautiful neat tilak on, and his hand was always in his beadbag. As he was sitting to greet people, one would be struck by his inconceivable beauty. Srila Prabhupada said, persons who give themselves to others are called magnanimous. And this was how Srila Prabhupada was during his pastimes in Surat. He was always delivering Krishna to everyone he met, and he affected people's hearts by his great potency. So I think it's 6:53. We should stop here. This pastime is long. Still, we will continue.